Okay, so I'm going to tell you the whole story about this is the theory of everything. And we were just chatting along, and he says, okay, let's chat to the first child that's just slipped out of the body, just died. And so, breathe in, breathe out, here's a child. He said, okay, what's your first impression? What do you see? You've just died. What do you see? What, just, give me your first impression of existence. She said to me, existence is very busy. So, what do you mean, existence? Very busy. She says, there's there's movement everywhere. I said, okay, but explain, where's the physical? She said, it's nowhere. I said, oh, no, come, explain. She says, no, existence is like everywhere, and then inside existence is these bubbles that move. I says, oh, okay. So, what is these bubbles? He says, no, existence is the physical, and then inside the physical is these bubbles, which is like the dimensions, the dimensional, it's like the being. And the being is trying to move existence. But the being is just inside this bubble, inside existence. It's okay, now, what's the first thing you'll do? What's the first action you'll take? You've just seen this. You've just seen what exists. What is here? What do you do? She says, no, I'll go into the bubble and try and explain to them that they're in a bubble. What would you do? That you can see they're all in bubbles. She said, no, but, what about bursting the bubbles? What'll happen? She says, I don't know. She says, okay, burst the bubbles. She says, okay, I'm bursting the bubbles. And what happens? She says, and everything is just floating. She says, okay, now, what'll happen now? I don't know. Okay. If you're in that bubble and the bubble is burst, what happens to you? Are you still here? The only thing that's happened is the bubble is burst, isn't it? You were moving inside a bubble, inside the physical. So now the bubble is burst. You're still here. What is going to happen? What are you normally doing? First thing. You'll build another bubble, isn't it? That's all you know. You'll only do what you know, which means you know you have to have a bubble to be here, and without a bubble, you're nothing. So therefore, what's the first thing when your bubble bursts? You'll build another bubble. So we looked at this whole thing. I said, okay, here I am. Okay, what happens if I take water and I shake it? When you take water, shake it, what happens? It makes bubbles. Okay, so you take the water, you shake it, and there's a bubble. Okay, so it's easy to make a bubble. So now the question is, what's in the bubble? Is what's in the bubble exactly that which is outside the bubble as well? What do you say? It's exactly the same. Inside and outside the bubble, it's exactly the same. But there's a bubble. So I asked, okay, now I've been shaking the bubble. What do you see? No, it's vibrating. I said, oh, but isn't it shaking? No, it's vibrating. No, but isn't it shaking? I was shaking the bubble and the water, and from the shaking, there's a bubble, and the bubble is still moving, and that bubble that's moving is still shaking, isn't it? No, it's vibrating. Are you sure? Oh, so you say, when you look at a bubble, you can give it another reason, purpose, name. So, you can take a shaking bubble, which is where it comes from, you're shaking, And you can call it a vibrating bubble. But what's inside the bubble and what's outside the bubble is the same. But now what happens when the bubble bursts? What is there? Just nothing. I mean, still the same. I mean, what was inside the bubble, what was outside the bubble, and when the bubble burst, everything is still the same, isn't it? The bubble didn't change anything, did it? Oh, okay, so the bubble didn't change anything. So let's shake the water again. We shake the water, and there's bubbles. Okay, there's bubbles. Okay, the bubble is still shaking. So that bubble that's shaking is, now we say it's vibrating. So now, this is, you can call it energy. Oh, say, okay. So, when you shake a bubble, or you shake the water makes a bubble. The bubble is vibrating, and you can call that vibrating energy. So what does that mean? I don't know. I mean, it means it's still the same bubble. The fact that the bubble is vibrating, and that is called energy, doesn't change the bubble inside, outside, or when the bubble bursts. So it has no effect on the bubble, does it? Really. It's only something you call the bubble, isn't it? So then we started looking at this whole bubble thing. Okay. It means, how many bubbles can you make? As many as you like. All you have to do is what? Shake the bubble. Then, and that is an interesting thing. You can take the bubble and you can shape the bubble. I mean, you can make the bubble square, you can make the bubble round, you can make the bubble any way you want it. Or, you can push the bubble and then the bubble has got to wobble. When the bubble has got to wobble, I mean it's a wobbling bubble, isn't it? Okay, and then you look at it all and say, okay, so I can make the bubble wobble. What does it change about the wobble? Or the bubble? When the bubble wobbles, does that make the bubble anything different to the bubble that was coming from the first shaking? No difference. Still the same bubble, isn't it? But the bubble doesn't change anything about anything. The bubble is just a bubble until the bubble is not a bubble, isn't it? Even the bubble with a wobble doesn't make a difference to the bubble or to anything else, does it? It's still just a bubble. Okay. So now we look at this and say, oh, but you know what? I can blow the bubble into any form. And then I can make the form do things. Does that mean anything? I mean, I'm blowing into the bubble gets a form, and I can get the bubble to do things. Okay, so the bubble moves. Okay, now I can give the bubble names. Because it's a moving bubble, I mean, it's special. So, when it's special, does it change anything about what's in the bubble? It's the same that was outside the bubble. In this case, it would be air. I'm blowing air into the bubble, and I'm blowing, and by pushing, I'm giving that bubble, for instance, legs and a tail and a head. And I mean, now the bubble moves.